And a lot of people look at me, just walk on by like I'm not there. But that don't bother me. I just keep going. Just sit there like I always do. Some frown at me. Some say, you don't need to do this. Some will say, why do you do it? And some will say, why do you like to do it? And I just tell them, well, I enjoy it. I like doing what I like. If you can't really get a job, what you want, you got to keep going somehow. You know what I mean? You can't just sit back at home and look at four walls and sit there and cry your eyes out because you can't get a job. My name is Brad Myers. I was born in Dayton, Ohio. I was born May 29, 1955. I had a brother who was 30 years old, was born just like me, and he died. He was a blue baby, and he had heart problems. And then my sister was born, and then she was born normal. She's got 2 kids now, and she's raising her kids. She's divorced. I was in foster home, and when I was 9 years old, I was child abuse. It's like you had to go out there for 18 hours out in the cold. And all I had on was just a flannel shirt, a pair of socks and a pair of jeans, and that's it. And that was all I had on. And that's when I was at Cincinnati, Ohio, Peach Drive. And these people was alcoholic, and be truthful, I could never accept foster parents, to be honest with you. The reason why, because I was the type of person that I really wanted my own family. Okay, that's the type of person I really was. I couldn't help it. That's the way I was. They told me that I had real parents, and I said, well, I would like to go to my real parents. I kept fighting them and arguing with them ever since I was 5 years old, growing up. You might say I had a lot of emotional problems through that time because I couldn't accept foster parents, to be honest with you, and to be truthful. I wanted to have my own parents. I feel more comfortable with my own parents. I guess it's a matter of your feeling of your heart. The baby knows, or when he starts to develop, growing up, knows what he wants inside of him. And a lot of people, including in the 1950s, growing up, could not understand or could not really realize what it really meant. They sort of ignored it like you was, well, plain nuts. I'll put it that way. It was frustrating. What was it like growing up as a kid? Well, I got in fights with other kids just like everybody else did growing up. That was about it. I got in a couple of fights with other kids when I was little, but I think that was good. In a way, it was good for me because, in a way, the reason why it was good was where I could learn to protect myself when I grew up. That was a part of it. Lots of time, I can't take tease, and my wife knows that. And I get mad, when she teases me. That's one thing I can't take. But one thing that I really couldn't take in my life, and this is really true, was when people laughed at me the way I was born. They called me short arm or something like that. Well, I ignored that stuff, as I was growing up.
So you went to regular public schools?
No, I didn't. I went to Condon School. That was in Cincinnati. That's when I was living at Peach Drive, and that's where the bad child abuse there at Peach Drive, and that's where that happened. All this child abuse and stuff like that, and all that. I called the Highway Patrols and the sheriff and told them about it there at Peach Drive, what they was doing. One, the sheriff caught them, and they arrested the mother and the stepfather, and that's when I came to Wayne when I was 13.
Were there any changes after you?
No, I went through a lot worse. I didn't really, nothing didn't really change, to be honest with you. I was really miserable. I feel like, I want to be honest with you, I feel like my life was going through hell. Be truthful about it. Man, when I first came to Orient, man, it was like the sheriff bringing you there, especially the sheriff, man. And my hair was longer at the time when I came. And when I came there, it was really scary, man. You know, I had bars there and stuff at the windows and stuff. And I said to myself, man, they're talking about there's caseworkers in there. Oh man, they got color TVs and all that, and all this good stuff. Just tell me all the good stuff. And when I walked in there, I'm going, Lord help me. That's all I could say, you know. And then when I first got there, I was back against the corner, man. You should have seen me, you know, just screaming my head off, man. 'Cause I said, man, I want out of this place, man. You know, I was scared to death, man. And then finally I went to Cottage D. There was a lot of resident abuse there and all that. And then finally I started joining a Lutheran church. I'm a Lutheran church on Morris Road. And I started joining this church. I hadn't been going for a while, but that's when I was living real close. And I went to Lutheran church and started joining there. And then my minister's really nice there, and all the friends are friendly there and all that. And so I started liking it. And I started going, and I enjoyed it. And as I was going, I started praying. It's like when everybody left from the church, I always stayed in the church for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes and prayed and asked the Lord to bring my life together because I was going through hell. And by going to that church, my life started getting better, and I was very thankful. I was really happy.
Do you still attend that church?
Yeah, I really don't go because I'm too far away. You know, to be very serious. I'm really far away, and you know, I think that.
What were some of the examples of the resident abuse?
What was the examples?
No.
Okay. Good question. I'm glad you asked me that. I'm glad you wanted to know. You was being hit in the head with the board. Now, what they did to you, I'd like to show you mostly what they did to you, if you don't mind. Mostly they made you stand up. Oops, sorry about that.
Okay, let me fix that.
They made you stand up and you had to have your toe like this. They made you put your head up and you had to stand there for an hour and a half and you had to lie.
Okay, let me get this one.
And you had to put your hand behind you. That's the way they did. So I can do that on
Just stay standing. That's the
Now, sit down and,
Yeah, put that in his pocket.
okay. Now, starting from sitting down and go back up.
Start off by saying these are some examples of the abuse.
This is some of the abuse of what Orient did when I was there. First thing they tell you to do is, first punishment was, you had to stand up, you look at the lights, your toes straight. You didn't look at it, you went like that or something like that, and he hit you on top of the head hard. And then you were sitting there, man, my head hurts. That's all you could say. You couldn't say anything else. And after you've been there for an hour and a half, they hear you talk and they do the same thing over and over again. And sometimes they say, well, there's other punishment we can do. Well, they do this then. Make you turn around, stick your nose like this,
in the corner.
in the corner, like that,
How long would they make you stand?
until bedtime. So like, if you got in trouble,
So you'd be there for hours doing this?
yeah. So like from 5 o'clock, okay, you go and have your supper, and you had to go back and stand against, your nose against that wall until clear bedtime, and that'd be at about 10 o'clock. And by the time you stand there, man, your legs would be sore. You'd be going, oh man, my legs are killing me.
Well, I was walking up the thing here was going to get me some French fries and a sandwich, and he lost his wallet out on the ground somewhere, and he asked me if I'd help him find it.
Thank you.
So I helped him find it, and then when he found it, when I went to bend over to pick up his wallet, all my money rolled out through the water. It did.
Yeah.
So Brad offered me some French fries and a sandwich and a drink. So I said, sure. So after that, he started introducing me some of the people that were in Orion at the time he was in there. So he introduced me to him, and then he wanted my address. See, at the time, I was in the state hospital. I was there as a patient before I worked there. And so we had to run around and ask for somebody for a pen or something to write his address down on. So then after that, we wasn't in contact for a while until I, AWOL from the hospital. I, took off from the hospital. And I went downtown and seen the strange person sitting on the corner here.
In front of Woolworths that time.
Yeah, in front of Woolworths. And I sat down, I said, do you remember me? He says, yeah, I met you at Deer Creek. Then he asked me to go out on a date. Well, first thing he asked me, he says, let's go get something to eat. I said, okay. So we went to get something to eat, and then he let me do a little shopping in there while he was in there. Then he took me to his apartment. Got to know him in his apartment real well. And then we started going on from there, and I was still AWOL at the time, and then I had to turn myself in because, if I didn't turn myself in, they would keep me longer. So I told Brad, that night I took off. Well, the first time I took off with all his money. First time I did, because, I didn't really care for him at the first time I met him. And then after I took his money, he didn't turn me into the cops or anything. But he was pretty pissed. He came up to the hospital and went to the wrong building, main building. And what else am I supposed to say?
How long have you been together?
We've been together approximately 10 years. Well, after a while, after I ripped him off maybe 2 or 3 times, after a while, I always faced him right back. I always went back to him. I never, he never did get mad or hit me or anything.
The purpose of that was because I understood one thing, that her parents never really bought her things. You know what I mean? Not that much.
My parents are what you call out of life. That's what I call it, out of life. My parents, I don't get along with my parents too well. They care for my sister more than they do me, so I try to stay away from them as much as I can, even though I still care for them.
But I understood one thing, why she did it,
I just wanted to get clothes and
stuff
things
like that. I didn't really appreciate you ripping me off, but, I realized, because I knew I was in the institution myself, and that's one thing that people do not understand or don't realize, okay? And I think the purpose is this. I understood why she ripped me off, went up, to the main building,
Wrong
told me
place.
wrong place, but finally told me the right place. And then
You went up there for your watch.
Yeah,
You didn't
we
go
went-
up there for the money.
I didn't care about the money, I just wanted my watch back. It was valuable at the time. And I got my watch back, but
Not his money.
not the money. I
Because the
didn't
money was already
spend.
spent.
That's what it was.
People would ask me why I would marry something like that. And I told them the reason why I married him is because I loved him, cared for him, and I'm willing to do things for him. But people would always come up out of the thin air and ask me these questions. And I go, it's not the that I want to use him or anything. It's just that I love him and care for him and want to be with him. So I would ignore the questions that they'd ask, but I would answer them. But otherwise, I wouldn't tell them everything that, But I think marriage is great when you can be together. I think it's wonderful that if you love somebody, you want to be with them. And it doesn't matter to me, it doesn't matter how they are. To me, it's just the way they are. And you got to learn to live with the way people are. Sure, you can work your problems out by trying to change things. But I think marriage is a great thing once you get through all the nervousness of being married.
But the main part is it's just like everybody's married. Everybody has a problem with their marriage life. And we're just like everybody else. We have to work our problems out and stuff like that,
We're normal. We're not. I'm gonna tell you something. Brad is a good man. People just don't look at him like that. They just look at how he is. They don't look deep down inside and see if he's a real good man.
They don't. Well,
To
look,
me, he's a real good man. He
They
can
don't-
do things that some people wouldn't even try to get out there and do for the way they are. I hate to say this, but sometimes Brad gets too carried away with what he does, too. Sometimes there's not going to be no one there to help him at all. And see, he's got to start learning that he's going to have problems on his own, too. He can't always run to somebody for help. You know, there's people now, but there ain't going to always be people there to help him, and he's got to learn that.
Okay, what do you think is in the future?
Well, right now we're separated. He lives on South High, I live over here, because we got into a big fight when we used to live over there on Sonita Court,
it was March 30th.
March 30th. No, we didn't separate until March. Yeah, March.
Yeah, March 30th.
And me and him got into a big fight. I was teasing him at first, you know, tickling him and stuff, and he got real mad and threw a knife at me. That's what it was. And then I picked up this thing and hit him over the head with it at the time. But after a while, he would not come home on time. He would always be late. Christmas, he was really late. And I was mad. I was worried. I thought something happened to him or something. So I ran around making phone calls to see where he was at and stuff. Here he was at church, and I had no idea where, you know, that he went there. He never told me he was going. And see, a lot of our problems came in between there because he would not tell me where he would be at or what he would be doing and stuff. And we separated from there because he went down to file for a divorce. And he didn't come home for a couple of nights there, and then I went downtown and asked what happened. I said, "Are you going to come home?" And he got mad and said, "No." He started screaming and stuff. You know, he likes to embarrass people. He did my grandma and them that same way. So right now, he dropped the divorce. Right now he dropped it. We're trying, when he comes here to stay, we talk about what are we going to do, how are we going to get back together, are you going to hit me anymore, or am I going to have to hit you anymore, or things like that. It would run in the car, you know. So we would sit down and talk about it, and we would say we wouldn't do this no more. We'd write up our contract. It's like a contract. Write up, you ain't going to do this, and I ain't going to do this. I get lonely being here by myself, so I either go out and party or I sneak over to my mom's house. Because it's very lonely, because I'm not used to being by myself. But when he comes over, he's always got something to tell me to do. He always tells me, let's do the dishes, clean this floor. What's all this mess doing on the table or something like that? He would always get on me about it. But now we're working our thing. We are working out our problems. We're getting back together. He's coming back home next month. He's going to see how he does during that month. And if things don't go right, we'll split up for just a little bit longer until we can get things straightened out. And we're hoping to get it straightened out good.
All right, so what do you think? Want to get to the daily routine? Say you get up in the morning.
Okay. Get up 7 o'clock in the morning. Sometime. But I try to get up most time if I can at 7. Go to McDonald's. That's on South High. Have my breakfast. And
They know you down
yeah, they know me real well. And then after I go to McDonald's, I'll leave about 9 o'clock, you know. Catch the bus, be downtown by 9:45 most of it, you know. Because the store don't open until 10 o'clock, so it's kind of silly to get down there that early, you know what I mean? So that, you know, then I just sit there and, well, it's called panhandle, to put it very politely. And I do that. After I get off work, usually I come back here. Most time I don't.
Wait. Did you break for lunch?
Yeah, I break lunch at 1. Yeah,
Where do,
me and my wife, we have lunch.
where do you usually go for lunch?
Woolworths, and we have lunch there. And then after we have lunch, and then I usually go back to work, and then she goes to the mental health center while I'm at work. And then after that, I go home, and I'll go to McDonald's, get a cup of coffee, and go back at the house and watch cable TV with my roommate, and watch wrestling and stuff like that. So it's nice to watch cable. So.
Okay. So that's pretty much daily. That's just Monday through Friday. What about
Well, Friday nights no. Friday nights I do just different things. Friday nights I go out and shoot pool. You know, I like to have a little bit of freedom, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, you've been sitting there on the street all day, you need a little bit of relaxing, a little bit of feeling. So I go out and shoot a couple games of pools. Then I go to movies sometimes, you know, with my wife. I don't like scary movies, she does, but I don't. And
You play cards sometimes.
yeah, I play cards, and I like to show you how I play cards with my feet.
We'll do that.
Okay, and but I shoot pool, and how I do this, I stand up and lean against the pool table and put my feet up in the air, and I have the stick between my toes and just shoot the balls in, and that's how I play pool. I'm double jointed, so I can do it that way. Be truthful with you, I like my job. Be truthful with you. You learn a lot from different people every day. I mean, I'm very serious. It's just like what you learn from Orient is like what you learn from the outside world. And since you've been in the institution, I'd like to go into a little detail what it's like when you're in the outside world now, okay? I mean, we talked about what happened about Orient. Now let's talk a little bit about the outside world, okay? Okay.
He's telling you what he wants to talk about.
Anyway, it's like you being in the outside world, okay? It's like, you know, when you was in the institution, you was surrounded, you know, being protected. But when you locked up, yeah. But when you're in the outside world, you have your freedom, okay? But the idea is when you're sitting there, you know, doing this, panhandling, you meet a lot of people, and they sit there and they talk to you, and they talk to you and all that. But the main thing, what you learn, when they're talking to you, you keep an eye on your cup, okay? When you're talking to them, you also look at the cup, but you also look at them, but you also look over this way and that way at the same time, okay? You never look at that person, you look all over, okay? That's part of your protection, because if you don't, someone's going to come behind you and knock you out while you're sitting there getting a combination with someone, you know what I mean? You're sitting there blah, 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 and all of a sudden you get hit in the head, you know? Well,
Has this ever happened to you?
well, I got hit once. Now, it wasn't in the back of my head, it was in front of my head. I got hit about right in here with a rock. And they caught him, you know, they got
He's
him.
gonna say where I beat you.
Anyway, they caught him, you know, and I just dropped the charge and just told him, don't come around me no more, you know. What he did, and what happened was I was, you know, too busy. I got a habit of rocking. When I was at Orient, I always rocked back and forth. I got a habit of doing it. I was sitting there rocking back and forth, and all of a sudden, bam, you know. I got hit and didn't know what happened, you know. I'm sitting there going, hey, what the heck happened, you know, like that, you know. And here I'm feeling my head like that, and blood's coming out of me, you know. And then so I had to go get some stitches, you know, but wasn't that serious, but I learned my lesson from it.
Have they taken your money?
Yes, they have. I'll admit that they have. What got me one day was I really feel embarrassed because this kid, he was on a bike. He says, "What time is it?" So I go around like this, look at the clock. It said 1 o'clock, and I turn around and here my cup was going. Here he was on the bicycle taking the cup on down the street. You know, that quick. I turn around, wow, man, what happened to the cup? You know, yeah, he's long going with the cup going down the street on Front Street. You know. I'm sitting there saying, so I go back in, well, get another cup, come back out, start back over again. You know, what could I have done? Couldn't catch him, you know. I guess he needed more than I did. That's where I looked at, shook it off, and just say, well, time to start back over.
What's the average daily income
How
for
much
what
I
you do?
make?
Yeah.
It varies. Okay, be serious about it, you know. Okay, it's like, I'll put it very truthfully, it's like you're gambling, okay? You know what gambling is, right? Okay. It's like you're gambling. Sometimes you make 15, sometimes you make 25, okay? It's all between what kind of mood the people's in, okay? It's all between how long you sit there, okay? Another thing is if you work the rush hour, sometimes you can make it to about 25 if you work the rush hour. There's another guy down there, the blind man, we have to switch corner. He gets mad if I sit there all the time.
You alternate corners with the blind man.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Back and
Talk about
forth.
that a little bit.
Well, you know, it's like I'll sit there for a little while, and I should have worked a full day today. You would have got some beautiful shots like this. But anyway, I'll be sitting there, and when he comes by, I have to get up and walk down, you know, and sit back down the other corner. He comes down, I get up and go back down the other corner, you know. People just sit there and laugh at us, you know, and they just go like this, especially the cops, man. These cops get a kick out of it. They do, really, you know. They just sit there and go, just shake their head, you know. That's all. Finally, my dad, my real dad, started keeping contract of me. He was interested in me. My real father, John Myers. And then he started to being interested in me, okay? But when I was sending pictures of me, I mean, I went out and my stepfather and mother would give me some money, and I'd go out and buy films, okay? That was the nicest family that I had. Well, they let me have a camera taking pictures of me, and I always sent it to my dad, okay? He would hide it from my mother, because my mother would get upset if she sees the pictures of the way I was. So my dad always hid it. When my father was deceased, okay, they destroyed the pictures. That's what I was told from my sister. And somebody did. We don't know who did it, but they destroyed them because on account they didn't want my mom to have them. Okay. I went to California, to be truthful with you, when I was 21 years old. Okay. And when I went to California, I stood up to my mother. Okay. I want to tell you what kind of feeling that was. Okay. And I'll be straight out with you. When I stood up with my mother, it was a real scary feeling, a real emotional problem. You know what I mean? This is so scary. It was like, what's going to happen to me? And when we went to the park, and when we went to the park, I started walking. I wanted to get beside her to really be close to her. And as I tried to get close to her, she kept backing off like this. I don't know if you can get a shot at it, exactly what's going on. But she kept backing up, and I kept getting closer here. Okay? And she kept backing up. And then finally, we came home. Okay? And then after we took the ride on the trip, my mom wrote a letter and said, "Dear son, I cannot accept you. I do not want to see you no more." Well, my sister told me about it, you know. I told my sister, well, I got a life, Mom. I have to accept it. I said, words are easy to say, but the feeling inside really hurts. Life is short. Be truthful with you. I learned in my life, and I always will, and I'll continue to learn in my life, you learn to take one day at a time, okay? You don't worry about tomorrow. You worry about today, what happens today. And that's the way I was raised of my life, of my childhood life, growing up. I know a lot of people say, why don't you think about it? I say, well, I learned to just take one day at a time. I don't really dream. You know what I mean? Now, when I was a little boy, we used to dream. Now, I don't dream no more, but I used to. I used to dream that I wanted a fixed TV camera, okay? And tape recorders, radios, television and stuff like that. That's the kind of dream I used to think of when I was a little kid, when I was about 7 years old, growing up. I find my dreams weared off.